Hi, everybody. It's Edgar Quadra here, Solution Consultant at Star Telecom, and welcome to our June release notes video. And today, special announcement is we have a new team member to our Star Telecom family, and that is Randall Couture. Still learning how to say that last name, but go, Randall, give us a little introduction on yourself.
Sure, it's Cutro.
Couture.
It's an old Acadian name. So yeah, my name is Randall Cutro, and I'm really excited to join the team. I've been kicking around interactive and Genesys products and contact centers for about 20 years.
Excellent.
And I've for many different partners across Canada, and I wanted to really align with a partner that I felt fit me, and Star was the ticket. My background is in infrastructure and SIP and Active Directory, and really working with customers to understand their business opportunities, problems, concerns, and plugging in the tech, explaining to them how that tech can move their business forward. That's really it's really the game I like to play, and why I get up in the morning and come to work.
Perfect. Yeah, the little walk over to your office. Yeah. The commute time, right? It's really
coming down the stairs, making the coffee and coming to my office. It's a lot of work. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. So thanks for that, Randall. I'm going to jump right into the June 1st release notes. It's kind of a light month overall, with a couple of smaller enhancements. I would say this month is fairly light in the overall enhancements as compared to last month. But let's jump into June 1st right away here. And the very first one, Korean support. So now for any, if we do by chance get some Korean customers or anyone out there that's currently working with Korean clients or has Korean agents, so Genesys Cloud now supports that language. So very good. If I just quickly jump into here, this relates to so Korean support the new language to these modules and these areas within Genesys Cloud. So if you want more further updates, or if you have a need for that, then go ahead and we can learn more about the Korean new language support. The other one here is trigger endpoints for Google Cloud Functions and data actions. So again, very technical on this one, but if you do a lot of work with Google as your let's say AI partner, and you're doing a lot of data actions within the architect tool, this is now a new trigger point that one of your developers or architect developers can take advantage of. Anything you want to add there, Randall, to any of those two?
Sure. I mean, on the first one, I think it's really revolutionary the way that Genesys and Genesys Cloud has been built out of the box to support multiple languages without adding like we had to deal with in the past. Right here on the resource center, you just have to select the language, to moving, changing the language in the actual interface itself is as simple as changing the settings for the user, right down to now we're looking at the artificial intelligence integrations and all that fun stuff, supporting multiple languages, which means that Genesys Cloud is really moving around the world and truly becoming the leading contact center platform. And then on the second piece, I would say this is an effort for Genesys Cloud to be the top contender when it comes to integration into artificial intelligence engines, to allow us to make use of that incredible technology to drive the experience inside of Genesys Cloud.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. Very excited to be partnered and working within the Genesys environment. Definitely is motivating to get up every day and look at the new features. So let's jump into the June 8th release. And I'll do a demo on this one, but this one's very good for our workforce managers out there. So as you know, you could do modifications to the generated forecast, but you can only do 50 modifications. Well, now you can ramp that up to 200 modifications. So let me jump into the module here. I can show you what that looks like for anyone that's curious out there. So under workforce management, let's go to forecasts. Let it load for a second here. Make sure I'm in my correct business unit, my demo, And I'm going to go to one I generated a little bit earlier today. So here's the forecast module. And down below, if you expand the bottom and you go to the modifications tab, these are currently modifications that are displayed here. But you can go ahead and when you go to add new modifications, you can affect the different metric type and what is it going to be doing, right? And the percentage of that change. Well, prior to this release, you could only do 50 of these modifications. I have 4 here, but now you can do 200. So if forecast is incredibly important, especially for our BPO customers. Well, now you have even more granularity into modifications and fine-tuning that forecast for proper business outcomes or predicting proper business outcomes and staffing agents. Okay. The next one here is tighter integration with Google Cloud, and more specifically now that you can add Google Cloud dialog flow directly from App Foundry. And what that unlocks is instead of getting 2 separate bills, one from Google and one from Genesys Cloud, now because it's available as a premium app through the App Foundry, that Google Cloud transactions and membership and logins necessary to unlock those AI features, they're now billed directly in your one Genesys Cloud billing. So it streamlines the billing operation, consolidating, as you can see here, and just tighter integration between the 2 platforms. And then lastly here is being able to disable the built-in application authorizations within Genesys Cloud. This one I've been trying to wrap my head around and exactly where it kind of fits in here. But it seems like it's giving you the ability, administrators and a permission, the add and disable permission for certain modules or certain applications within Genesys Cloud. If I just take a peek into it and get more details in here, you can kind of see here that there are all these applications that you can add, like integrations. And then what I believe is a new permission here to allow administrators to be able to disable and enable some of these or all these features or these applications here. Right.
Well,
so again,
go
ahead.
I'm able
Randall.
to help there a little bit. As we integrate more and more tools into the Genesys Cloud platform, especially when we start thinking about the single pane of glass approach, leveraging Scripter, for example, to access CRM data as well as data from other systems like maybe a parts database, a Google lookup, and so on and so forth. Authenticating to those applications and minimizing the work that is required for the agent to get access to those tools is critical. And so this is where you see, and of course, maintaining security is also critical. This is where you see tools like OAuth being tweaked and added into the Genesys Cloud platform so that the integration between these tools to add them to the toolbox for the agents becomes much more seamless and easier for them to use and access.
I see. Yep. Well, for sure. Okay. I'm going to move on now to the next release notes here. June 15th. January. I'm already thinking ahead. Okay, so very first one here, improved wait time for call recording, download, and playback. This is actually kind of huge. So for anyone that lives within the interaction section of Genesys Cloud and is always listening and waiting for those recordings to download and process, where it looks like now Genesys has improved that recall of those playbacks and increased or lowered the wait time by 70%, which I think is quite huge, especially, time is money in the call center. So being able to get through and load that call recording is vital. And they also added a new ability to download the audio in OPES codec. So OPES, I know it within the WebRTC technology where it enables to fluctuate the audio quality depending on your network. So it's just taking advantage of that flexibility of that audio codec for downloading purposes. Okay. And that's probably how they're able to increase the performance, is maybe changing the call recording to OPES format. possibly, maybe something to look into if anyone's nerdy out there, audiophile. Okay, next one here, prioritize order of performance and development information from the agent activity view. This was kind of cool. So if you're familiar with the agent activity screen here, so if I jump over here, agent activity screen. So this is a summary of their work within the call center. Well, now this new feature, you'll notice that at the top here, rearrange button. This enables the agent to go ahead and organize the key widgets on this activity screen. So one of the things maybe that I would like to do as an agent, I want to see what my coaching assignments are coming up and what assigned modules I have. So they'll able to go ahead and customize that, and then done. So this new feature unlocks that ability for the agents to do that. And I don't believe there's any permissions associated to it. You just obviously, the agent needs the ability to enable the activity view in your call center using that. Okay, next one here is Lex, Amazon Lex integration. So previous one was all about Google, and now this one is all about Amazon Lex. So again, looks like Genesys is really making headways into inroads into the Asia Pacific market. And you can see here now, previously, obviously last feature release with Korean support. Now with Amazon Lex here, tighter integration into that region. So within the AWS environment or that region, organizations or Genesys Cloud orgs now have the ability to integrate directly into Amazon Lex and unlock all those powerful tools that Amazon Lex does. So tighter integrations with AI, text-to-speech, everything that Amazon Lex kind of enables for the call center. That's now available for your Genesys Cloud organization in the Asia Pacific region. Okay, and now they're removing a couple of features. So this is a very one of the OG, I think, technologies is bridge support. So what that does, the bridge platform enabled, let's say, Genesys Cloud to interact with Windows environments back in the day, and there was a bridge kind of service needed in between. I think now, because of all the API work that Genesys and other platforms like Microsoft has built up, this bridge service is no longer needed and it's been decommissioned. So if you are currently using any bridge services, this is something you should take a note on. There has been a couple releases notifying clients that the bridge services are being decommissioned. And you can see here a summary of all those bridge services that are now decommissioned. Okay. And lastly, this is a change that Genesys was rolling out, but looks like they're rolling it back. And that's just a new variable that counts visitors on the website through the Predictive Engagement module. Okay, and it looks like they're rolling that back, postponing it to July 20th, or it is July 25th, 6th right now. Let's just jump in here and see. Yeah, so now it's postponed to August 10th. So again, this is just, I think, with some new API work, some variables are changing, and one specifically is the visitor count variable for Predictive Engagement. Okay. Anything to add, Randall, to this release?
No, I think you said it all.
Awesome. All right, June 22nd. Let's get in here. This is very big in the call center modules. So this one's quite big. So if you're currently using a lot of the LMS tools, as well as the learning module quiz forms, you now have the ability to reset and redeploy, reassign learning modules for individual users. So if I go over to my agent status and let's go to development here. And I did this a couple yesterday. So I think I have some learnings back in September here. Let's just go back. Change the historical. Let's go. So in a second here, you should see some of my learnings, or maybe not. Maybe one more. Anyways, okay, so there. What this now allows you to do is, if I drill down into my agent and I go to development, these are learnings that have been assigned to them, so they've completed. Or if you're looking at the score and they didn't hit that 100% or that threshold, you can now reassign that. So reset that module, so they've passed it or they didn't pass it. Then I'm just going to reset that module. It will clear that previous score, and then it will be reassigned to that individual. Or maybe it's a refresher, right? So maybe it's an ongoing learning module, and we just want to maybe have that agent refresh some learnings. Well, let's just reassign them again, that learning module. So then they'll get that notification in their inbox, let them know that, oh, I have a module that I need to fulfill. Okay, so that is the reassignment under the learning modules. Interaction evaluation form version tracking. So now that if you do modifications to your evaluation forms, your QA evaluation forms, there's now version tracking within the module. You can't roll, you're not able to roll back to a different version, but you are able to see this learning module has a version ID and it's a timestamp. So you're able to see the pretty much an audit log of when edits were changed or edits were made to that evaluation form. Blocked offer views for predictive engagement journey action maps. So again, under the predictive engagement module, there's a new views. So there's map action blocked offer details view. So these two new views enable those actions and able to get more details within the predictive engagement side. Rich text formatted in bot messages. So what this now does is, if you're using web messaging and you have a bot enabled in here, you're able to now provide more formatting from the bot response that will show up under the web messenger. So if I quickly jump in there and take a look at that, you can see here, HTML back in the day, some of this may look familiar if you're a web developer, but you're now able to format some of the text responses from the bot using these now rich text media for the bot. Okay. Next one here is UI improvements. So Genesys Cloud has removed redundant contextual panel labels within the UI. So let's take a look at that and see what that is doing now. So there's a new view there. And I apologize, actually, I haven't dived deep into see where the redundancies are or improvements are being made. So just reading that description here, I'm going to assume that some of these pop-ups within Genesys Cloud have been cleaned up a little bit to reduce the redundancy and just to improve the readability of the UI. Okay. Next one here is for under speech text and recognition here is intent minor Spanish support. So improving the languages, again, Genesys is a global platform, and they've now added language support for Latin America and Spain Spanish. So a couple releases a couple weeks back, I've showed this, so now new improvements for those two Spanish speaking regions. So eso me gusta bastante. Okay, next one here is web widget chat widget support for Google Fonts. So similar to the rich text format here for chat messages, you're able now to use some of the Google fonts in your web messaging. Okay. So if I just quickly jump in there, you can kind of see as you start building out your Webflow and your bot, especially the web widget, you're able to take advantage some of the Google Roboto font, which actually I'm a big fan of. We use Google Drive or Google Sheets quite a bit here at work, and I really like that font. So next one is actually quite big, I believe. So last month or the previous month, we talked about how Genesys is slowly decommissioning the canned reports within Genesys Cloud and integrating some of those reports into the performance views. So here's now the official notice that they are starting to decommission some of those canned reports. So let's jump in here and get a bit more details. So they've started now in June, and they're planning to end the decommission pretty much within the 1 year next year. So what this means, so if you use canned reports a lot within Genesys Cloud, some of those high trafficked or highly used canned reports are going to start to be rolled into the performance views. So you can see here that if you use the canned queue reports, this is now going to be where you can find that information in the performance view. So I highly encourage anyone that's watching here to keep an update on this. So we saw maybe you can add this particular link to the show notes, so people have a reference to this. This is going to be very important when it comes to reporting. If you do use the canned reports quite a bit, learn this list and to be able to make sure you don't miss out on the data and where to find that appropriate data. And then lastly here is some gamification metrics, so API modifications to gamification. It looks like they're removing, with the launch of custom gamification profiles, there's new APIs. So they're updating, they're removing some of the old gamification APIs with newer ones. Okay. And that is June 22nd releases. Okay, now let's move on to the last release for June 29th week releases here. And right away off the top of the back, it's huge for the telecom features within Genesys Cloud. So actually, I'll start there quickly. So first off, introduction to global media fabric. This is big. So for clients that have multi-geo agent workforce, global media fabric is quite huge on that. So Randall, maybe you can give me a hand here because I know this is your bread and butter, your background.
Sure.
So quickly, what is global media fabric and what's going on?
Well, originally Genesys Cloud, when it was pure cloud, was meant to be a SMB solution, so small to medium. But as the product's been developed and the features, the capability has been expanded, what we've seen is that Genesys Cloud has been adopted by much larger organizations that live through around the world. And so there are organizations out there, companies out there that have Genesys Cloud orgs that really do circumvent the globe. And so you have users participating in the Genesys Cloud org, taking and making calls all over the world. And so to support this, what Genesys has done is they've built these media regions around the world, which they call their fabric media, their media fabric. I guess I said it reverse, typical French thing to do. But in any case, what happens is today, when we turn on some of the features available in Genesys Cloud, when a user logs in, wherever the user's logging into Genesys Cloud from, their exterior IP address or their public IP address is used to look up where they are geographically, and then the media for their interaction will be routed to the closest media fabric to them. So what that means is that if you have someone who's typically used to working in California or in Montreal or in Tokyo, it doesn't matter. As they move around the globe, they log in to use Genesys Cloud, and the audio portion of their conversation will be directed to a media region close to them to ensure effective call quality.
That is, yeah. So global region, improving the voice quality and more intelligent, right? Being able to route where that voice should go based on where they're located and yeah. So pretty awesome.
Another thing I wanted to talk that's layered on top of that is a feature that's come out recently, and that's hybrid media. So I'm a longtime user of Genesys Cloud. I started with Pure Cloud. And in the beginning, the only solution was BYOC Prem, where you would deploy edges and either establish connections to the PSTN via a SIP trunk or with using a media gateway using PRIs or some other technology. And then, of course, Genesys Cloud Voice came out. And then, of course, BYOC Cloud, which is the preferred methodology where we establish SIP trunks directly into edges hosted into the cloud. But what if your org is all over the world and there are regions of your org where you want to establish media connectivity, but you can't do SIP trunking, or you require that the SIP trunk or maybe a PRI is used at a local site?
Yeah.
What
so
if
India has a lot of tight regulations around their telecom? Yeah.
What if you were an early adapter of Genesys Cloud and you started with BYOC Prem and you have PRIs or a SIP trunk terminating locally on an edge, and you want to move to BYOC Cloud? And it used to be that was a very difficult transition because you couldn't have BYOC Prem and BYOC Cloud working at the same time and do a gradual migration. Well, with hybrid media, BYOC Prem, BYOC Cloud, and Genesys Cloud Voice can be supported all in the same org and can work together. And so this has really allowed Genesys to have the flexibility to support connectivity to the PSTN around the world, regardless of what infrastructure they have.
Yeah, so I know it's a fairly easy configuration if you currently are using local devices there to enable that in your org. And I also know any new orgs that are spun up going forward will be automatically enabled with hybrid media. So just future-proofing any new clients or new orgs to be taking advantage of this great new feature coming out. Okay, so let's jump back in here. The other one now is much more support, being able to provide, this is more on the Genesys Voice side of things, more access to DIDs and toll-free numbers in the Latin America region. So again, big call center presence in these regions. So now if you do want to take advantage of Genesys Cloud Voice, you can purchase and use DIDs within that region. Next one here, true dear to my heart here is these Polycom phones. So there's now new support for Polycom, some of the new Polycom modules on modes out there, models. So communicate users, you now have access to these new series of phones, which I think is clear right on the wall that the VVX models are probably being phased out by Polycom, and so Genesys is supporting those. So if you still have need for hard phones, Polycom phones with Genesys Cloud is the way to go. All right, the last section here for this week's release notes is in the contact center space, and there's three. So the very first one is improvements to the Genesys dialogue engine bot flow. So previously, prior to this, for outcomes, we would have to manually assign or create those outcomes within the list. But now, as you start developing the whole bot flow, and it comes to the point where you need to start adding different actions and outcomes to a particular list, within this new feature here, you're able to build those outcomes dynamically So an improvement there, and it's making the built-in bot, the AI bot within Genesys, much more powerful and quicker for releases and very dynamic tool set. The next one is going back to the improved module assignment workflow within Genesys Cloud. So I touched upon this earlier in the video, but within the learning modules in here, it's now streamlined the view for a supervisor to come in here and, oops, I don't want to go on queue. That was a pop-up there. Sorry about that, everybody. So within now the development and feedback module here, it's streamlined this view, so there's a bit more metrics in here. You can have a much more information in here. It does give us some of the abilities now to assign again. You can open that module, and like I mentioned previously, under the agent development section here, you're able to reassign or reset learnings. So that's all improvements now. Again, assign again or unassign this module. So if you accidentally assign modules to individuals, you can remove that from them. But just improvements to the overall workflow in the development and feedback modules. And then lastly here, this is a quite little sneaky one here, but this has now opened up API access to be able to update the wrap-up codes and notes within an interaction post call. So, and with that, it's also not affecting the end time of that particular interaction or the segment of that interaction. So this opens up some possibilities within workflow. So if you want to correct a wrap-up code, or you want to add notes post the call, this API, this update API to the Conversations API gives you the ability to do so. Okay, so that ends the release notes for this June month. Last thing I just want to touch upon. So if you're curious and you start thinking about, oh, what about this feature? What about that feature? Or you want to add comments to any one of those features, you can sign up to community@genesys.com and jump into the Genesys Cloud area here, where you're able to post and see new updates to new features or new feedbacks. There's a whole other Q&A show, which I watched this quite a bit to learn more information about. But this is also where I go and figure out if anyone else is having any issues within Genesys Cloud, or I can't figure something out here. I'll just kind of post, search within the community here. And most of the time I'm able to come up with a solution from this form. So again, community.genesys.com if you want to add new feedback, or you just want to dive deeper into the Genesys community. Randall, your first show, how do you think it went? Any closing feedbacks?
Well, I think it's exciting that Genesys is constantly and continually upgrading Genesys Cloud. It really pushes out the concept and the idea that Genesys Cloud is a DevOps style solution that's continuously evolving to meet market conditions and to ensure that customers get the features and functionality they need. Right. A lot of the decisions that were made early on by Genesys, building Genesys Cloud on top of Amazon Web Services, and only on Amazon Web Services, using multi-tenant and making it using the microservices architecture has allowed for Genesys to really effectively and continuously roll out improvements. Mm-hmm. And this is really the future of contact center.
Mm-hmm. Very strong, powerful intent statement there, Randall. Thank you for that. And with that, everybody, thank you for watching. Again, if you have any questions, please reach out to or leave comments in the videos, and you can reach out to support@startelecom.ca for any additional questions. All right, have a good day, everybody. Thanks for watching.